Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well and having a great Saturday night. Tonight on November the 9th, we will be talking about the potential for some showers and maybe a few storms over the next couple of days in the continental United States. And then we'll also be talking about the tropics once again, and just we'll be discussing a few things with that, so stay tuned for that and the other part of the video. And the first part will really be just looking at the potential for showers and some storms, but no severe weather at this time is forecasted. We'll be looking at just that for the first half of the video, and again for the second half will be the tropics, so stay tuned for that as well. But really that'll be about it for this entire video, but I am going to try to kind of break some things down a little more than I usually do. And apart from looking at the showers and storms for the next few days, we'll also be looking at kind of the general pattern over the next week or two that'll be possible for that. So really that'll be about it for this video, but let's go ahead and get started. So first, you're looking at the day one convective outlook, the 0-1Z outlook. We just have a general thunderstorm risk extending from Illinois and Indiana into these states here all the way down into Louisiana and Texas. And really that's the only risk for tonight. No severe weather again is expected tonight, tomorrow on Sunday, and then on Veterans Day there's no severe weather expected at this time again. But that is again the day one convective outlook. And then looking at the day two convective outlook, we have a general thunderstorm risk all the way from Ohio and Pennsylvania all the way down into these states, and then into again Texas and Louisiana here. And then to the east of that we have a general thunderstorm risk here into the Carolinas, eastern Carolinas that is. And then we also have another general thunderstorm risk into parts of really the coastal sections of the peninsula of Florida, mainly on the southern and eastern sides of the peninsula of Florida. And that is again for tomorrow on to not Tuesday, Sunday, November the 10th, 2024. And then looking at our day three convective outlook, this is for Veterans Day, November the 11th, and we just have two general thunderstorm risk, one up here into the northwest United States and one down here into the southeastern United States. And again, that is for Monday the 11th on Veterans Day. And now looking at the radar, really just mainly looking at Louisiana right here, but we have this long band of showers and maybe some embedded thunderstorms within this kind of line, but mainly just some showers in this area. But we do have a couple of flash flood warnings that have been issued into parts of kind of central and south central Louisiana, and that is again right into this area right here. And really this area has just been kind of receiving rain for the past several hours, and that's been accumulating, and that has been what has it's been for this the cause for this these flash flood warnings, in this area here. But again, those are just a couple of flash flood warnings, and I do expect these to kind of last over the next couple of hours because of all this rain that has just accumulated here, and that rain is just continued in this area, and more showers have just been forming in this general area, causing there to be flooding, especially into the kind of rivers and creeks into these areas. That is again the latest radar for tonight. Now looking at the GFS, and this is the 18Z GFS right here, and here's our system that is driving this rain and really across parts of the kind of central and eastern United States, but mostly the eastern US. But that system will continue on to the east and dump some rain into parts of even the kind of Great Lakes region and across the southeast, even into the northeast, throughout the next couple of days, even into Monday. And then even looking here Monday night, maybe into Tuesday morning, I think it's possible that some areas into the northeast United States could receive some snow, maybe into parts of Maine or maybe even New Hampshire, Vermont there, possibly even into New York there, maybe Monday night into Tuesday morning. But we'll just have to continue to watch that. But I think it's possible that some areas could receive some snow there. And then also looking out to the northwest U.S., you have that other general thunderstorm risk issued up here, and that is again for that kind of system that'll move in and dump some rain and even some snow into the areas here, kind of into the Rocky Mountains as well. And that'll kind of head on through here into the central U.S., and even more rain will develop there. And then this is by again, this is late next week, kind of into the middle of next week, and then into the later part of next week. And then we could see another system potentially maybe next weekend. We could see another severe weather setup with this. Again, it's kind of far out at this time, but we'll just have to continue to watch this for that setup there. But I do expect there to be some sort of system that'll move through. Will it have severe weather or not? Only time will tell as we get closer to that to this time period. But again, that is just something we'll have to watch there. And this maybe a potential system could be the system. I think it personally could be the system that could deliver some cooler temperatures to the U.S., as it's been much above average for the past kind of several weeks, honestly. And even quickly looking at our temperature anomalies here, so going back to really about now and looking at our analysis here, you really just have, besides the western U.S., you have above average temperatures in much of the eastern and parts of the central U.S. And this colder air is just from some of the snow that has fell from the past couple of days from the system we were just talking about earlier. And then going to this potential system, and this is not going to be how it's exactly going to look, because this is again 200 hours out. It is just too far to pinpoint these finer details, but this just gives us a general idea of what we could see. So here would be our kind of system, and then I think it's possible we could see all that cold air move to the southeast, and move southeast into the eastern U.S. and eventually kind of into the south central and southeastern U.S. But I think this could be maybe some of the coldest air we've seen this far into fall, that is. But again, we'll just have to continue to watch that and see how the system plays out, if we'll have severe weather with this. But again, we'll have to just continue to monitor this, and I will give updates as needed on this maybe potential system. Now flipping to the tropics part of this video, we do still have Tropical Storm Rafael out here into the Gulf of Mexico, which is only a 1,002 millibar tropical storm at this point, with a maximum sustained winds of 45 miles per hour, and that is from the latest 9:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time update on Saturday, November the 9th, but again, we do have Tropical Storm Rafael here, which is expected to weaken even more throughout the next day or two, and we'll just show the cone of uncertainty in just a second. But we also have this area right here, kind of into the western Atlantic, and so this system has a pretty low chance of developing. It only has a 10% chance of developing into a system within the next 48 hours. But again, we'll have to continue to watch this just a little bit, but nothing to really worry about at this time. And then as we go to the 7-day tropical weather outlook, again, just maintains that 10% chance of developing within that time period, within that 7 days. So again, not too much to worry about here, but we will look at the weather models and just see what we might need to monitor. But again, nothing really to worry about there. And we'll look at the cone of uncertainty for Rafael, in just one moment. So now looking at the cone of uncertainty for Rafael, I don't know why I keep saying from, but this is for Rafael. And again, Rafael is in the really the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, but continuing to go towards the southwestern side. So Rafael is expected from the National Hurricane Center to make a loop and actually go to the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, and by that point it would just be a remnant low. And Rafael has just really been weakening over the past couple of days, and just basically been dealing with some shear and some just an unfavorable environment as a whole as it's moved into this area, because the sea surface temperatures are not as warm as it was for the system in the Caribbean, and the shear has basically messed up the system entirely, where it can't really develop any more than it did earlier into the period. But again, as it is expected to make a loop and kind of head for Mexico there, and by that point it would just be maybe a little bit of a disturbance there, nothing to worry about at all, just a remnant low again expected there. But as you can see, if we go back to the kind of daylight hours here and then going back here, you can really see how this system has lost really its shape, and it just is not a healthy looking tropical storm at this point. And most of the clouds associated with this storm have moved off to the northeast, and you just kind of have this band way out here to the northeast, while the circulation down here is just kind of has some lower level clouds, but most of the higher level, the clouds up higher into the atmosphere, are to the northeast. And again, just not like a healthy storm at this point. But that is again Zoom Earth and looking at the cone of uncertainty for Tropical Storm Rafael. So now switching to the weather models, and again just looking at the GFS for right now. So going back here, we have Rafael here, which is on the GFS. It is expected to lift to the north, but I don't think this will happen, and I do expect it to kind of make a loop and go towards the southwestern Gulf of Mexico, as the National Hurricane Center is expecting it to. But in this scenario, it would be picked up by a trough and kind of pushed out into the continental United States, and so I really don't think that would happen. I again just think it'll loop and head back to the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. But again, looking at the GFS here, and really looking at the Caribbean again, you just have this moisture and all these storms that will continue to linger in this area into the Caribbean, and the GFS has been pretty consistent with showing some sort of development of a system or a storm into the Caribbean here. And going back to the 18Z GFS here, because the 0Z hasn't fully lettered out yet, but again, it just has that area maintaining some moisture and storms in that general area there, and so that will continue on. Let me go back a little bit here. This would be late next week. Excuse me, I forgot to tell you all that, but this will be late next week, and then as we get to this coming weekend, you still have those storms there, and then it would have maybe a low pressure developing there. But again, that is 258 hours out. It's very far out, but it has this area into the Caribbean really with showers and thunderstorms for almost really a week, but at least a couple days, with some maybe activity to watch down here. Will we get a system for sure? It's just too far out to tell, but that is again just the GFS, and by that point it is very far out and not reliable. But it is again just model guidance we need to kind of continue to monitor. Now looking at the European, it is not as aggressive as usual, but again kind of just shows some showers and thunderstorms down here into the Caribbean. Again, at the same time period, late next weekend to late next weekend, and does not really have a low pressure getting developed until maybe late in that period, which is with just a weak low pressure by that point. Again, that is a European model. And then looking at the Icon model, the 0Z is loaded now. So same thing with it, just some showers and thunderstorms remaining down there in the Caribbean. And then it finally gets a low pressure late into the run at 180 hours out for next Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday on the 17th. But again, it's just pretty far out at this time, and we'll have to continue to monitor this for sure. And then finally looking at the EPS and GEFS ensembles. Now this is the part where it kind of gets a little worrisome, because on both the EPS and GEFS ensembles there is a kind of a strong signal that shows up here. EPS ensembles shows a stronger signal than, or not a stronger, but a more potent signal than it has been showing. And so you have the spread of members even into the Caribbean, and then even kind of into the western, just really western Atlantic way over here as well. And it just has this area of members showing up with a little bit of a signal, especially into late next weekend. But again, we'll just have to continue to watch that. I know I keep saying that a lot, but we'll just have to continue to watch this and see how this plays out as we get closer to this time frame. And then going back here, going to the GEFS ensemble. The GEFS ensemble has been very aggressive with the runs, especially the 18Z run here. So if we look at the 18Z run, it has a extremely strong signal showing up there for a potential system late next week into late next weekend. And so that would have that stronger signal moving into the Gulf, but even some signals behind that as well. And that is pretty far out by that point. But what is not far out is this signal right here. Only about a week out, or really less than a week out, this signal pops up. So this will be something we'll just again have to continue to monitor and keep our eyes on as we get throughout this weekend into early next weekend. I would say by early to mid next week we'll have an idea of what could happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if the National Hurricane Center puts up an area into the Caribbean again of maybe a low chance of development within the next 7 days, but I could definitely see that occurring maybe early next week, where they put an outlook out for that area. But again, we'll have to just keep looking at this area and monitoring it, but don't worry too much about it now, because we still have a lot to figure out. But again, that is it for the tropics. So that's going to be it for this video. I do really appreciate all of y'all watching. And I'm gonna try to get some more videos out kind of this coming week, because I know I've been slacking recently. I've just been very busy with school and just a lot of work and stuff. But again, I really appreciate y'all watching, and I'm also going to try to kind of change up the editing style, a little bit more, so I can kind of keep y'all engaged a little more, because I know it's pretty boring just hearing me talk and there's not a whole lot going on. So it is harder to, stick around and keep a good pace going, if that makes sense, where I can keep showing stuff without it getting boring, because I know I've just been really talking and not really been going hand in hand with the models and with my talking. I've just been doing that a little more separately instead of adding it all together, if that makes sense. So I am going to try to change up my editing style, so I have not only kind of more in-depth and engaged content, but more I would like to have shorter content as well, so it's not 20 and 30 minutes long. Really 20 minutes is my ideal time frame. If shorter, maybe 15 minutes would be great too, but the 30 and 40 minute videos are just not going to be as good really for me and for y'all. So that's just my ideas. And again, if anybody has feedback they want to give me, negative or positive, I'll gladly take that in the comments. Please consider liking or subscribing. I really would appreciate that, and that helps grow my channel even further, so I can reach wider audiences. Not wider audiences, a wide audience. Yeah, that'll be it for this update. And I hope y'all have a great rest of y'all's Saturday night or Sunday morning.